last 2 nights ago when we were on. And this one and the 2 next week will also be recorded, and eventually they'll be placed on the district website. We don't know how, but it's going to happen. We know it can happen, right, Jeff and Randy? Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
then,
it will happen.
It will happen. Okay. Then tonight we're going to hear from 2 of our members about public image. Shelley is our public image chair, and she's gonna present first. And then we're going to have Garrett Haney, who's actually he's the Elmo Rotaract president, and he was asked to present at PETS in Kalamazoo at those big breakouts. He was asked to make a presentation there, but of course we disbanded before those presentations took place. So I asked him to come on tonight and give us the presentation that you would have heard at Kalamazoo a couple of weeks ago. So he's going to, and then Melanie is going to, she's our membership chair for the district. She's going to present then after that. So anyway, I think the only other thing was, I think you already saw a little bit of the schedule. Monday night, we're going to have running your meeting. Connie's going to do that. That was also scheduled for Kalamazoo, and that will help you. It's one of your chapters from your President's Handbook. I don't remember which one right now, but she was going to present on that. I think you'll find that information really, really informative, really helpful for once you start to run your own meetings. And then Peggy Pickler is going to talk to us about insurance. Again, that insurance and the one on Tuesday beginning with, we have one on risk management with past District Governor Bob Chadwick. Very helpful. Insurance and risk management, those are things that just as a regular member, we don't think about. But when you become the president, it's a big deal. It's something you have to keep in mind for all of your events. So that information is really pretty important. We didn't know anything about risk management the first time I was president, and we had a cow die on us at our cow patty bingo. Who would have known? Who would have known that would happen? It's almost funny now, but it was not funny when it happened, except when I had to write a condolence card to the family that owned the cow. That was hard. But I think you'll find those 2 sessions really important and helpful to you as your president. And then also on Tuesday night, I just want to tell you that Tara Welch, who's going to be shadowing me next year as the incoming trainer, she'll take over after me. I think I told all of you at Kalamazoo that your year as president will be my last year as trainer. And Tara is going to help us out with Rotary Club Central. I know you already saw a little bit of about Rotary Club Central when Cindy went ahead and filled that slot during when we were at Kalamazoo, and she did a very nice job, I understand. So, but anyway, but Tara will do more with you. And if you will have your goals ready, you can input them as she's showing you things that night. That'll be Tuesday night. And then we have a special presentation from Kevin Dorland, who will talk to us about the challenge. Again, Kevin was asked to give that presentation at PETS. He would have been the final thing we had that was the presentation after lunch, just after you took your president's pledge. He would have given this presentation, so we're looking forward to that. In fact, we're going to record that and send that on to the other 5 districts, because I know they'll want to hear that too, because it's really enlightening. Okay, so that's what I have. Randy, I'll hand it back over to you.
Okay. Hey, just one comment before we get going about safety with the virus out there. Just be sure to practice all the safe hygienic things because we found out today that Lori's sister and her husband were just taken to the hospital. So, and it's suspected that that's what the cause is. So it's starting to hit close to home for our house here. So, and I'm hopefully none of you will have an immediate relative with it, but it's getting more widespread. So just please stay safe and stay healthy in whatever you do. So that's the only thing I really wanted to say tonight before Shelley gets on the program. So if I can introduce Shelley, I've known Shelley. She's a passionate Rotarian, like many of us are, member of the Saginaw Sunrise Club, and she has been doing public image now for a number of years, and she's starting to take it to another level this year. So with that, I'll turn it over to Shelley.
Thank you, Randy. My goal tonight is I always like when I do my presentations for it to be a discussion with everyone, and I like everybody to ask questions if they want to on anything that I speak about. Dee just mentioned that you're going to get a Rotary Club Central education in the coming sessions. And I'm going to talk about Rotary.org and Rotary Club Central tonight. The Rotary Club Central that you're going to be getting your education on in a couple sessions is that one's going to be how to put in your goals, how to look up metrics of your club. But I'm going to be talking about the assets that Rotary Club Central has that'll help you run your club and do things for your club to promote Rotary. You should have all gotten 3 documents for my presentation tonight. The first one is, a lot of people aren't really familiar with how to get where in Rotary.org. So I did a schematic of how to find resources on public image in Rotary.org. That's going to be the document that shows you the pathway to get to where you need to go in there. I know when you go into Rotary.org, sometimes it's very overwhelming. There's a lot of information in there. But I find it for public image and I'm the president of my club this year too. But for running your club, there are all of the assets that you could possibly need. A lot of them are in Rotary Club Central. Rotary Club Central has, under its resource tab, has everything that you would need for logos, branding, doing templates for doing things, how to run campaigns. Everything is in Rotary Club Central under the resources tab. And for public image, it's got its own section, and you'll see that when you use the document to take the pathway to get in there. So, but I really want to help clubs be able to find where they need to go to access the assets that they need to use when they are doing anything in the public, any media, any print, anything on their website, anything on social media. Everything in there is turnkey, which is fantastic. There's videos in there that you can immediately post to your websites and to Facebook. You don't have to create anything, it's all there, and there's hundreds of things that you can use to choose from. If you want to run a campaign, a Polio Plus campaign, for instance, there is a campaign in there. If you want to run something for World Polio Day on October 24th, go to Rotary.org. There's campaigns in there, all kinds that have been done by other clubs from all over the world, so you can get really good ideas about how to run a good Polio Plus campaign. The other campaign that was really effective, and it was brand new at the Atlanta Rotary International Convention, is it's the People of Action campaign. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the People of Action campaign, but it is a new way of promoting Rotary, and it has all the when I say assets, I mean photos, ways to build brochures, to build ads, to build, you can build banners for your website. I mean, it has all the assets that you would need to run the People of Action campaign. There's even a way that you can take your own club photo and use an overlay of the People of Action words. There's all kinds of words that are superimposed over pictures. I know you probably have all seen People of Action, but you can even do that with your own club underneath it, which is really cool. And the great thing too about everything that's on Rotary.org, it's all turnkey. So it's all there ready for you to use, which is really nice. Within the resource tab under Rotary Club Central, somebody have a question?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No.
There's also what's called a messaging guide. The messaging guide it's really advice for how to tell Rotary's story in a concise way. So when you're looking for how to craft something, maybe something for your website or something for print or something to put on Facebook that has a lot of ideas in there about how to, you can use what they have on there for telling Rotary's story, or it gives you ideas about how to tell Rotary's story according to your own club in your own personal way. The other thing that I would highly recommend is the public relations guide. I included in the documents that, not public relations, but visual identity. I included in the documents that I sent for today. It's just a great snapshot of the Rotary's identity at a glance. This document is just a short, concise form that shows you all the appropriate logos, colors, ways that you can use the different templates to make logos within Rotary. And anything that's outside of the visual identity guide is not allowed. So these are all the proper use of logos and the proper colors and the proper way to make your own logo with templates. And like I said, all of this is in the resource area. So you would find all that information under the Brand Center. The other thing was the public relations guide. Now, the public relations guide has anything that you would need to disseminate to media. So what it has, this is an example of a press release for an event. Everything is completely done. All you have to do is fill in your information about the event that you're having and send it off to media, to your local newspaper, MLive, wherever you're sending the documents. So there's about 10 to 15, I think, about that many different templates that are all done for you for media. So those are really helpful too. Let's see. So as far as, I know that when you, Rotary.org also, I mean, I'm just talking about what's in my Rotary and the resource page. You can go out to Rotary.org and find literally hundreds of other ways to access and use videos and ideas. Don't reinvent the wheel. If you're going to have an event, go find something that's already been done and copy it. You know, go find something, or if you're looking to do an event, go find something and copy it. There's hundreds and hundreds of ideas on Rotary.org about how to run campaigns and how to have events. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions that they would like to ask? Everybody pretty familiar with Rotary.org? Do you think that you can access it and get around in Rotary.org pretty well, or is it a brand new thing for you?
I can say that for me that over the years when we've been working on Saginaw on Stage, that I have found it to be an invaluable resource for getting graphic images into our, pamphlets and advertising material. So it is. Yeah.
It is. Thank you, Eric. That is the truth, isn't it? It's got everything that you could possibly need, all turnkey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shelley?
Yes.
I think we want to tell them that if they could check to see if their own club is using the up-to-date Rotary or brand for Rotary, that would be nice. You could just start with something simple for their own club. So, and if you can't do it yourself as the incoming president, find one of your 30-year-olds or your 5th grade grandchild, whatever, that can do it for you. So
I have a question. I have a question on this. Over the years, there's from one year to the next is a new slogan. And some of the old slogans are still really wonderful and the graphics are wonderful. Are we supposed to not use older things in things that we do? Or if we use the new one, can we also include older ones?
Do you mean words or do you mean logos?
He means the the annual themes that we have, like
Like the
coming up,
Oh, the
logos.
Rotary opens
Yeah.
opportunities. Yeah, yeah,
oh, the theme.
yeah. the new-
You're supposed to use the current theme of Rotary, especially on all of your assets. So if you're building something on your website or in print, you're supposed to use just the theme of the year that you're doing it. I know I know like our own personal Sunrise Rotary website, it took a long time to get everything updated to the next year. But that's just one thing to be cognizant of when the year changes over, to make sure and go on and update for the new theme. You can certainly advertise for the new theme when the theme comes out, but you're supposed to use, yes, the current one.
Well, some of them are more enduring, like the Polio Plus and the Clean Water, and some of those don't change so frequently. But I guess I need to pay attention to those that do.
That's a little different. That's a little different. You're talking about polio. The polio assets are the same.
Okay.
So like if you're going to run a Polio Plus campaign, it's probably the same. They might have the graphic is the same as it was last year or the year before. Polio Plus has not changed.
Okay.
But what I was talking about was the theme. The
Right.
Rotary theme does change every year. So that's the thing that you have to update. But if
Okay.
you're talking about water and sanitation or any of those things, if there's are you familiar with how to actually make a logo with the template?
That I don't know. I've cut and pasted,
Okay.
downloaded and pasted things. I'd have to look at that.
Because there is a way in there, like if you're partnering with an organization, you can actually make a logo using the template, using your club, and then whoever you're partnering with can be on there as well.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
there's a way to do that. But as far as making your own, you can't like make your own, have your own saying or use an
Right.
old saying with the Rotary logo. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah, I get that.
Okay.
For the second on stage, we have, sponsors and other people like that that are on board, but those have been separate logos that we use just for those
Sure.
businesses.
Sure,
Yeah.
that would be more like if you and one other entity were sponsoring a huge event, you can use both the logos.
Okay.
If I
Okay.
could
Yeah, I
just,
think that's good. I'm clear. Yeah.
okay. I just want to, as a grant writer, even with Rotary, I still use some of the old sayings, but I don't use them like with a logo. I use them as a tie-in or a header to a paragraph, or all of the phrases are very useful.
Sure.
They just aren't the ones that accompany the logo. So if there is something that you like or you feel really catches people's attention, Tara and I have really worked on using some of those past themes, phrases in some of our marketing materials or membership marketing materials, because you don't know what the phrase is that's going to catch people's attention.
True.
And we know that Rotary works really hard to develop that one theme for 1 year, but it can be useful for many years. It's just, it's not attached to the actual logo or a graphic. It's
Good
something
point.
that heads up a paragraph or something.
Good point. Anyone have anything else they wanted to add or ask?
Well, just me being a visual person as much as a verbal person. Some of those old graphics are awful nice, like the circle of hands is really wonderful. And there was the people all standing together in a crowd I used, where I took that and I put it into pieces and I got rid of the slogan and just had the people standing there and sort of stretched it out using Photoshop. And, some of those graphics are nice, but we really should not do that kind of modification or?
Well, I don't know if the police are going to come to your door, but I think that Rotary doesn't, they would prefer that you use the current logos for current stuff. But like Carrie said about using the wording and the phrases, I think that's great. I mean, like she said, some of the phrases are fabulous, and there's no reason not to use them in your advertising, or just not the logo itself.
Okay, that's clear. Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, Dee.
All right. I finally figured out what the hand up on the screen means. So Randy and Jeff, you both had your hands up. Did you have something you wanted to say? Unmute yourself first.
Oh,
No,
that was-
I was just doing a thumbs up because Kevin
Oh,
was going to be on the lineup for speaking.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
echoed
let's
what
hear
Jeff
it.
did.
Okay. All right.
We're
Okay.
excited about Kevin.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
thumbs up for Kevin.
Yep. We are. Kevin, yeah, you'll enjoy that. Make sure you're at the reservoirs. But at this time, then I'm going to introduce to you Garrett Haney again. Again, he's young. He's a Rotary actor, but remember, Rotary actors all became actual Rotary members this year, according to, or last year, I think maybe they became members. But anyway, they're now official Rotary members. And I think if you were to do a little background on this young man, you'd find that he's been an extremely active Rotarian, especially this past year. He's probably been to more international conventions than some of us. And he has really promoted Rotary, and they do a lot of good service work in his Elma College Rotaract Club. And so at this time, I'm going to go ahead and let Garrett take over.
Well, hi everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'd like to first start off with saying that I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy with what's going on. First off, Connie, I remember I sent you the PowerPoint, so I'm not sure how you are planning on having this pop up on the screen. If not, I can just turn my camera around and I have it right here. Perfect, there it is. So, some quick things really quick is this presentation was made by Liz Smith. She's a Detroit Rotarian, and this was supposed to be done in like a 50-minute breakout session. So I'm just going to kind of run through the presentation. There's some activities involved, and we'll do that. Also, I apologize if I seem scatterbrained at all. I've been writing a chemistry lab report all day for, because online classes. So I've been doing that. But with that, we'll get going on the presentation. So with the first slide here, the previous slides there, before the learning objectives, there's an activity which we'll do at the end, which is thinking about a moment in Rotary that touched your heart. This is what Liz was planning on starting off with, and having us talk about your stories involving Rotary and Rotaract and how you got involved or how you got others involved. So we'll say that for the end. But with this presentation, we hope to talk mainly on public image, and with the learning objectives, got to work with Connie with moving the slides around. Can you go to the learning objectives slide, Connie? Perfect. So with this presentation, we hope to talk about some market research that Rotary International did, how to integrate the Rotary public image, which Shelley talked about already, and how to identify qualities and skills of a public image chair. So on the next slide there, here is how to enhance some public understanding. And as you can see, these all connect with each other. And from these, they all impact each other. So for example, starting with the engaged members, if you have a club with engaged members, then from there, you're going to get more increased awareness from the community. Because you have members who are getting actively involved in your community. They're passionate. They're talking about the club outside of club meetings. They're talking about events outside of events. And because of that, you're going to get that increased awareness. And with that increased awareness, you're also going to get increased membership, because more people are going to see about it. More people are going to hear about that passion from the club. And they're going to be interested. They're going to want to contribute their passion towards the club. And you're also going to get more contributions, not only from people, but also from nonprofits that may be helping you out. So with that, you're also going to get partnerships and support for local projects. And with that, you're going to have more backing, and in turn, you're going to get more engaged members. So it's a circle effect. And if one of those starts falling, then the rest are going to start falling as well. So on the next slide here, for selecting a public image chair, here are some skills and qualities that make a good public image chair. With the first one, we have communication strategy and planning. So if you have someone who's your public image chair, or in our case for a Rotary Club, our director of public image, we want to make sure we have someone that's very upkeep on communicating with other people and event planning, because they want to make sure that you have the dates right, the events right, and that you're communicating with people in your club and outside your club regarding those events. Social media is also important as well. You also want to make sure that you have someone that's aware of how to utilize social media, such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, mainly Facebook, and how to troubleshoot just in case if you get locked out of your account. With that, marketing. For our Rotaract Club, before he became the president of our sponsor Rotary Club, he was a marketing professor at Alma College. I have never had a class with him, but working with him as our advisor during the time, he taught me a lot of these skills and also helped me work on the public image campaign that I did when I've been president for the last 2 years. So with marketing, his biggest thing was there's 3 things. With marketing, it's the sell. So you want to sell your club, you want to sell your club's ideas, and mainly you want to sell yourself. With selling yourself, you're also improving your club's image, because when people see your club, they see you, and when they see you, that's what they're going to compare your club with. So by you being involved in the community, people are going to see that, and they're going to relate you with your club. And then from there, you're going to get friends, family members, people that you may have met that you left a good image on, and you're going to leave a good image on Rotary. And that was one of his biggest things that he always tell me and the club members. With that, PR as well, you want to maintain those relationships, make sure you're working with people and leaving good impressions. Media relations, you want to make sure someone that is keeping up relations on your social media so that people aren't getting left in the dust. And then with that, you can create media partnerships. Media planning and purchasing advertising. I've never personally done this, but I understand Facebook, for example, you pay like $10 and they always offer discounts. You can have posts get sent out to people that don't like your page. So, because since Facebook is a big advertising business, they'll send your post out to people that are most likely going to like your page. And from there, they'll get more likes on your page, and also you'll get more people interested in your events in your local area. Also sharing resources and training others. You want to make sure someone understands the thing enough that they can train other people on it, such as how to utilize the accounts and the emails that are associated with it. And then finally, marketing and communications for nonprofits. You want to make sure that you're sharing. If you're doing an event for like child advocacy, in our case, we were sharing child advocacy events or information regarding the events, and also going on, liking their stuff, making sure other people saw that we're liking it, so they know that we are actively involved with their nonprofit and that we care for their image. So, and then a quick story with the media relations. Since I've created the Instagram account, I've been making sure, because during our time, our public director was very busy with sports. So I took over on the accounts and I updated accounts, did everything. And since then, we've had clubs from India and Africa reach out to us. We even had to invite to come to a festival in India. And so I've been in close contact with her for the last year now. Manasi is her name. So I remember it. And so that's also a thing. It opens your doors and opportunities for clubs and partnerships. So on the next page, we have some research findings with that Rotary did in 2015. And this is just pretty much to show the awareness of Rotary. So as we can see from the people surveyed, 75% were aware of Rotary. Around 65% were familiar with Rotary programs such as End Polio Now. And even less than half were familiar with any local Rotary clubs. And that goes on to the next slide, which is where local clubs are running into the issue where they're not earning full credit for their work that they're doing. And that's also an issue that relates to simply branding. So the next couple of slides just show how brands evolved. And these are some examples Liz want to show how Ford evolved their logo. The next slide, Shell also evolved their logo. And then finally, even Rotary evolve their logo as well. And for some reason, it's not showing the main one in the center, but the corner is the updated logo, which we all know and see every day. So, and that goes on what Shelley was saying, where a lot of clubs are still using old logos, or not, in this case, the 1924 logo. Or they're using old stuff, or they're creating their own logos even. In other countries, I know there's other clubs that are creating their own logos that don't fit any of the Rotary branding. So issue you get run into is, we all know what Coca-Cola is, we all know what Google is, because we see the logo almost every single day when we open our computer or we go for a drive. But when you have Rotary involved, you're seeing different logos. So a lot of people who aren't familiar with Rotary aren't familiar with it because they just can't put the logo together with the club because they don't sometimes know what they're even looking at. So that's an issue that Shelley also talked about with how to update your logo and how to utilize the brand center to match other clubs and what Rotary International prefers. So on the next slide, some common beliefs, which also can result in low engagement or low club membership, is that there's a stereotype logo or stereotype with Rotary clubs. And I've even heard this from some Rotaractors that were in my college club. And that stereotype is that members are males who are older, that the club is exclusive, and that you have to be a professional to be in the club, which obviously we all know is not true. But in some areas, that is run into, especially with the young population. So that's an issue that some clubs are running into, where people are not joining because they see that stereotype. So on the next slide here, this was a case study that Liz wanted us to do as an activity. And I'll read it, and then I guess what we can do is we can just see how this outcome could have been different, and someone can just speak up, unmute your mic. So I'll just read it off first. I'll give it a couple seconds, and then if someone has an idea of how that could have been changed, just talk. So a local doctor volunteers at a community 5K that raises money for a charity. The event is called the Annual Run Toward Polio Eradication, sponsored by the Springfield Breakfast Club. The doctor has a great experience at the event, and she feels good about the time spent supporting a worthwhile cause. A year later, she is asked to join Rotary. She declines because she's never heard of it. How could this outcome have been different? So what is something that could have been different in this case?
What was
Garrett,
that?
I think this highlights a problem that a lot of clubs have, is that we get into a rut of doing programs and we don't take that opportunity to talk about Rotary. And so I've heard this from other, especially, I'm not as young as you are, but I'm relatively young Rotarian. And I've heard this from some other younger members about my age. They're like, we go to these things, we go to these events, we do this stuff, and everybody that was there has had it.
You're kind of cutting out.
Yeah,
Hard time hearing you.
Hello.
Oh, it's his internet. He sent a chat.
Yeah, bad internet.
Yeah.
So I only caught half of that, but if he can start talking again, I'll let him talk. But is there anything else that we could have changed in this scenario?
Can I paraphrase what I think Gabe was trying to say?
Yeah.
Go right ahead, Randy.
I think he was trying to say that when we have events like this and a lot of non-Rotarians are there, we don't take the opportunity to talk about what Rotary is and what it does for the community.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's also a big thing. And that's really comes down to the part where it's sponsored by the Springfield Breakfast Club. And in there, nowhere does it say anything in this example, Rotary. So this is something that Liz wanted us, or that when I was talking with Liz beforehand, this is what Liz's biggest point was, is where clubs aren't taking that opportunity to exactly what you said to Gabe and Randy, where they're not talking about Rotary. And in this case, they're hosting an event and nowhere in their title are they considering themselves a Rotary club. They're considering themselves the Breakfast Club. But only Rotarians would understand that term. So when people are asked, hey, did you go to that Rotary event? People have no idea what you're talking about. Then there's also the issue where the doctor was asked a year later after the event that she had a blast at. Make sure, especially as a public image chair, make sure that you're reaching out to people, you're having other club members reach out. If she was reached out maybe a month later, you could have gotten this doctor as a member. So those are the two big things that Liz was going to talk about.
Hey, Gary, I see a potential pitfall. We're starting a satellite club, and of course we call it a satellite Rotary Club, but
Yeah.
I see a pitfall where people are going to ask the question, what is a satellite club? And so we spend more time explaining that than anything.
Exactly. And that's something, if you can get someone in the conversation with that, that's something that you can definitely talk to someone about and simply explain. In this example, especially when it's promoting an event and using your club's title, a big thing is make sure that there's somewhere in there that says Rotary Club, so people can see the name and understand the name. And that was the biggest point that Liz wanted to get with this.
Can I add something to that? The person who trained Liz, because Liz was a governor the same year I was, so we've got a lot of the same training. But a lady by the name of Mary Beth Growney Celine talked to us and told us that really we should be saying Rotary Club of. So it'd be Rotary Club of Saginaw Sunrise, Rotary Club of Shepherd, Rotary Club of Springfield Breakfast Club, whatever it is. But you start with Rotary, and that way you get the word Rotary in there automatically. So.
And that's an awesome point.
Hey, Garrett.
So,
Garrett, before we move on, can I ask Dee, how are we doing on time from a process here?
We
I know
are.
we have Melanie on the
Yeah,
program.
we have about 20 minutes left. So.
And Melanie, how much time do you need?
I was going to use another minute or two because the rest of this presentation, I was going to say Shelly all talked about. So.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Thanks.
We're good.
So on the next slide here, as we can see, the USA is on the yellow there. So awareness is going down, and that's also big because clubs aren't utilizing that title, or they're not reaching out to members, or they're not utilizing things previously talked about where they're getting member engagement or participation after events. So this was just pretty much put on just to show where we are. And then here, this is all brand center stuff. This is really all what Shelly talked about with the videos, the digital signs, radios, messaging guides that you can download. Here's the color guide and the logo guide, which you can create. And on the next slide there's also a voice and visual identity guide, which you can download as well. There's another case study here, but I was just going to skip this one. And then this is just a recap that with increased awareness, you can get greater understanding, more opportunities to do with your club, such as our case where we got invited to India, better storytelling, and stronger relationships with members, community, and nonprofits. Next slide, Shelly talked about once again with the brand center. And that is really it with the presentation. I tried to go as fast as I could. Like I said, this was originally supposed to be a 50-minute presentation, but we'll just leave the activity with a takeaway point of how were you inspired? And if that's what inspired you, then we need to be able to take that inspiration and turn it into something that you can utilize to get more people inspired to also join the club. So that was it. Sorry if I took too long, but I tried my best. So
Great.
thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you guys got some key points from what Liz and I were originally going to talk about during the Great Lakes breakout session in Kalamazoo. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Garrett.
If you have any questions, I'll answer them. But if not, we can go on to the next speaker.
I don't want to take much time here, but I did want to mention that one of the things that we have tried to do with all of the Saginaw on Stage promotion is we always make sure that the posted by or presented by the the Rotary Club of Saginaw is on everything that we publish. And then we also, in the things that we hand out at the event, we list not only all of the local community activities that we've sponsored over a period of years from the event, but also we have information about the international programs of Rotary International, including what the goals are, what the current mission is, and the Clean Water and the Polio Plus. And we try to make sure that that's in everything that we hand to people, at the event.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And that's exactly what you need to do. When I was at Alma College, or when I was on campus, what we would do is we would have Rotary packets with different things that Rotary clubs were doing internationally. And we would hand them out as brochures to people that weren't familiar with it. Because before I became president, majority of people on campus had no idea what Rotary or Rotaract was. And once I started my public image campaign, when I was originally talking to people had no idea how to say Rotaract. Or even how to spell it, or even knew what Rotary was. But ever since, pushing this on people and utilizing social media and using those brochure packets where I was giving people information on Rotary International and Rotaract, we got more engagement from that. And we've actually grown in members because of that. We got more contributions. So definitely you're doing that right. But as Shelley said, make sure we're utilizing the brand center and staying similar across all these different clubs, because if people travel, we want to make sure that people are seeing the same logo and the same title across states and in different cities, because that's what's going to link them to the club and make them more familiar with Rotary and what local clubs are doing.
Okay, great. Garrett.
I don't know if I just froze or not.
Somebody's trying to talk. Jeff or who? Randy?
Did I just freeze out? I don't know if you guys heard any of that.
Yeah. Dee, can I just say something quick?
Go ahead, Arnie.
When all of us go out and we go to like that first example, that 5K run and everything, we should all carry something in our pockets. One is, we already have our elevator speech in our heads, but we should also carry like a business card for the club. And in that business card, our club, we printed one of our projects, the 8 days that we were going to have a free concert during the summer. And we could give that to them. So they got all our information. So it's never going to be a year if they get the thought of an interest. The other thing that I carry around with me is the 4-way test coin. And you can get these and you just hand it to them and they walk away with that. And that little coin can remind them of an experience they had with us.
Yep, very good. Thank you. Good ideas. Good ideas. Okay. Well, Randy, you want to introduce Mel?
I just want.
If not, I'd love to tell a funny story about her. So.
No.
First of all, thanks again to Garrett. Appreciate you being with us. It was very well. Even though you're tired, you did quite well.
You did.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And Melanie, I don't know quite as long as maybe some other people do, but I know Melanie is a person that has taken on the membership role for the district now. It's your second year, is that right, Melanie?
Yep.
So, yeah, and I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks. That was a great intro, Garrett and Shelley. Thanks. You got us going about telling our story, but one of the things, so I'm just going to cover some of the statistics that Rotary says, why people join, why they stay, and why they leave, and then a little bit about our membership numbers, and then I'm going to tell my story. So one of the things is they say, why people join, the number one reason people join is because they want to participate in local projects. The second highest reason is because they want to participate in international projects. And then the third one is for personal gain and training opportunities. So those are all really cool reasons to join. Then when you ask current members, the reason they stay is that they're participating and they're happy they're participating in local projects. They enjoy the friendships. They connect with people outside their normal work circles. So that's what it's really cool in Rotary. If we think about our clubs, it's not people we would see every day. And so that's why we like it. Then there's the people that have left. They say there's the cost or time constraints, the club environment, the culture didn't mix with theirs, or unmet expectations. So all those areas that, I mean, it's very similar when people leave jobs for those same kind of reasons. And it's kind of neat this year. Everybody's looking at retention, not just getting new members, but keeping the ones we have. So if you look at our district, we started out at 1355 and we're now at 1372. So we had a net gain of 17. That's whether there could be more people that left and we have more than 17. But our goal was 1,400 and that's what the goal is for next year again. So if every club just added one member, one or two members, a net gain would be able to hit our goal. But I'll just point out that if you look at the goals that you guys have all started putting in or the last year's presidents have in there, when you add all the club's goals together, it's way over 1,400. So each one of you individually has even higher goals than we were thinking of. So there's a couple of things that I just want to touch on, and I'm going to be short so we can get out on time. And I apologize because this is somewhat of a repeat for the ones that were pre-pets, but there are some different opportunities for us. So one of them is an associate member. Everybody knows about regular members. We bring members in, we do our club assessment, and we say, okay, we need some new people in this area of, we don't have a lawyer, we don't have a dentist, we don't have an insurance person. But there's also some new type of memberships that Rotary International started that wasn't quite as aware of before. One of them is an associate member. So maybe there's someone in your community, whether it is a young person or someone that's really committed to the community or somebody that would just add value to your club. They can become an associate member. So you wouldn't normally charge them dues. They wouldn't be counted in your numbers for Rotary International, but they'd add value to your club. And you could, and Connie I'll try and catch this, Connie, but anytime you add these new kind of memberships, you need to update your bylaws. So you can set your own, like maybe you can only have an associate member you could only be an associate member for 2 years or, something like that. Maybe you can only be one for 1 year, but your club could set it up the way you want it. Then there's also corporate memberships. So a lot of us have a big corporate presence in our community, and maybe these folks have big time commitments and you can't get the plant manager or the head of HR to come to your Rotary meetings, but you can set up a corporate membership where maybe that person that is the official corporate member might not attend, but he can send his other associates with him in his place. So you could have secondary, corporate memberships. There's a couple different models there, and if you're interested, I know Owasso was looking at it, and there's sometimes a corporate membership would be, the corporation would pay for 3 members, and those 3 members are fully Rotary International members. They're, everybody pays their full dues, or maybe you have some standby members, if I could say, that would support that main member, but they wouldn't be a Rotary International member. So those are some different membership opportunities. If you have any questions, I would love to talk to you about them. And Jeff mentioned that there's also a satellite club going in Pigeon that they're working on. So in order to start a new club, you need 25 members. But if you have an area where, like the Pigeon Club, there are a lot of folks in our area that can't make a noon meeting, and all of our meetings are at noon in the Thumb region. So they looked at an evening meeting, and so now they're setting up an evening meeting. You can sometimes get the healthcare professionals or the school educators, a lot of those folks that just can't get away during the day, and it's a whole different group of people that are coming, and there they only have to have 8 members to start a new club. So they'll be associated with the Pigeon Club, the Noon Pigeon Club, but they'll have their own chairperson, not necessarily a president, but their own chairperson. They can do their own service projects. It adds, and it can be their own culture. So all those are really cool. So I will just touch on the fact that Garrett mentioned that Liz's presentation always says, tell your story. So I'll tell my story because Randy has said that should be our goal for this year, is telling our Rotary story. So I joined Rotary back when I moved into a new town. And the reason I joined is because I was asked. I was new. I was head of the utility. I didn't know anybody in town. I was asked to join Rotary. I could not have become half as effective or half as committed to the community or involved in the community if I had not joined Rotary and been able to get to know so many different kind of people. Then fast forward, I come to Seaboing. And again, I joined the Rotary in Seaboing. I transferred there. It was fantastic. I got to know the community. And it helped me in my job. It was really important for that. Then I retired. So everybody has a different Rotary story. My Rotary story changed a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to hope I can get through this. But Tom and I went on a quick trip down to South Carolina because we thought we'd get there and get back before the virus hit. Well, Tom didn't get the virus, but he did get pneumonia. He spent 7 days in the ICU there on a ventilator. So I know what these people are going through when you hear about the coronavirus. And then the hospital locked down the day he came out of the ICU. So I couldn't even go to the hospital to see him. So I'm in a strange town with no friends or family. And I will say, every night it was my Rotary friends that called me to see how I was doing. So it was very, it changed my life. And in fact, they sent me a goodie bag. And so every time I had a cookie, or I will confess, a glass of the wine that they sent, I thought of them and I smiled, and I'm really happy to be a Rotary member. So I am available for anybody if they have any questions on membership. I don't know if there are any, and I will say that going into this year, every club that gets a new member, I'm going to give $20 to the foundation. So help me go broke, okay? And I know Chuckle wants some of that for polio. So anyway, and I'm done.
Oh, thank you, Mel. That's wonderful. That's a really, boy, $20, people. I'd take her on.
Okay.
If you have a chance, click on your chat button. It'd be great if everybody would read what Eric wrote just a little bit ago, including you, Mel, because I think it could become a part of your presentation. what he has written. That's very nice. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, we need to all be a little bit. Georgine, if you remember past District Governor Georgine Hildebrand, she was big on telling your Rotary story. In fact, that was what she taught. And when she was one of the presenters at International Assembly, that was kind of her forte, was telling your Rotary story, where we all worked on that. I think I shared with some of you before that the very first time I told my Rotary story, which was about my grandfather and grandmother and their family moving from Texas up to Michigan as migrant workers, that the very first time I told it to a friend of mine. I was sitting at her dining room table. I was sitting across from her, and I burst out crying. I mean, really sobbing. And I had to put my head down on the table. I was crying so hard. So her suggestion was that maybe I get a different story. that one might not work. But I said it enough times, and I was finally able to use it in my governor's speeches when I went from club to club. But that is a good one. And Mel, your day will come when you'll be able to do that. But you did a great job getting through that story. So that's very, very good. Now I don't have the heart to tell the funny story I was going to tell you. Tell about her. Anyway, Randy, I'm going to turn it over to you, just so you can thank everybody for presenting and being here.
Well, you just did it, Dee. So
nope, now it's you. You have to say their names.
Well, thanks, Shelley, and thanks, Garrett, and thank you, Melanie. If you don't know, Melanie is from the Seaboing Rotary Club.
Yeah.
No, excuse me, the Rotary Club of Seaboing.
There we go. Yeah.
Did I say that right, Shelley?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank everyone for being on the call, and our next one will be Monday at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Yep.
So
okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Right.
Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, wait a minute. I have one question. Whose phone number ends in 1759? Don't have a name for you. I have Nora's 2777, but I need, if the last four numbers of your phone number is 1759. No? Phantom person?
Oh,
Okay, that's the only name I didn't have because I took roll. Okay. Oh, I think the person might be trying to talk,
Mhm,
but not getting it. Sorry, it's not coming through. Maybe chat it to us.
mhm.
I'll stay on if you will chat it. So, okay. All right. Okay, I guess we may as well
Thanks,
go. I'll
all.
stay on a little bit longer.
Okay, good
I'm
night,
team
everybody.
save. That's right. Good night.
good night.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Good night, Dee.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Bye. Bye. Oh, you know what? If the phone number's not on the screen, you know what? Just email Connie and give her your name. Tell her who you are.
If they're on a phone, they're not going to.
Yeah,
be
you're not able
do
to
the
chat with us. Sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So just email Connie. Just respond to her email. All right. Thank you, everybody. Good
All
night.
right. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night,
Thanks
night,
again,
Garrett.
Garrett. Thank you. Mhm.
Now.